On this episode of China Uncensored, tear down this firewall.
Today I say, as long as this gate is closed, as long as this scar of a wall is permitted to stand, it is not the German question alone that remains open, but the question of freedom for all mankind. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
That was former U.S. President Ronald Reagan giving a speech at the Brandenburg Gate near the Berlin Wall in 1987. It was a direct challenge to then Soviet Union leader Mikhail Gorbachev to prove that his calls for transparency wasn't empty talk by tearing down the wall that divided Berlin and had become a symbol of communist oppression. That was a call echoed this weekend by Zhang Jialong, a reporter for Tencent, China's largest social media company. In a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and 4 prominent Chinese reporters/bloggers at the U.S. Embassy in Beijing, Zhang, who was one of the 4 bloggers, directly asked Secretary Kerry, "Will you get together with the Chinese who aspire for freedom and tear down this great firewall that blocks the internet?" Well, Secretary Kerry gave a resounding, "Obviously we think the Chinese economy will be stronger with greater freedom of the internet." Brave words, Secretary Kerry. One for the history books. The firewall Zhang refers to is, of course, the Great Firewall of China, the nickname for the Golden Shield Project, the censorship apparatus the Chinese regime uses to keep an iron grip on the internet. Zhang knows himself how dangerous it can be. In 2011, he was detained for 3 days because of posts he made about Chinese authorities harassing artist Ai Weiwei. Although the Communist Party has always kept a tight grip on the internet, 2013 saw things getting worse. New rules issued by China's Supreme Court stated that users who committed slander by spreading rumors could be sentenced to up to 3 years in jail if their posts were reposted more than 500 times or seen by more than 5,000 people. What could be considered slander? According to a prominent party journal, online criticism of the party or the government qualifies. A 16-year-old was the first person arrested under that policy. That could be why Wang Kechin, an investigative reporter also at the meeting, said the cause of internet freedom was going backwards, and that there's less of it. That's not what Kerry seemed to believe, however. As far as democracy goes, he said a slow progress is taking place, and though elections are within one party, there's a very vibrant debate at the local level. When Zhang asked Kerry if he would be visiting the allegedly ill wife of Liu Xiaobo, the writer, activist, and Nobel Peace Prize winner, currently serving an 11-year prison sentence for inciting subversion of state power, Kerry said he would only be in China for a day and a half. I should also mention that of the 4 bloggers at the event, one was a former journalist for state-run Xinhua, who later told the South China Morning Post the reason the party's internet censorship is so severe is it's a defense against any U.S. attempt to subvert its effective rule. And clearly, as we saw, the U.S. is really doing a lot to stop China's internet censorship. And Kerry proved that commitment when, in response to these bloggers risking their personal freedom to ask the United States for help, he said, "No one country can come crashing in to say, 'Do this our way, it's better.'" Well, I'm sorry, Secretary Kerry, when teenagers can be arrested for what they write online, when lawyers can be tortured for defending their clients, that isn't a matter of difference of belief or ideologies. It's basic human rights. And if anything has become clear, the Chinese Communist Party isn't just going to change its mind and start respecting those. So maybe, Secretary Kerry, someone does need to crash in. As Zhang Jialong just wrote in a blog post for Foreign Policy, he's saying that it's ultimately up to the Chinese people, but they could use some help from the U.S. So is it still crashing in if the people ask you for help? Zhang is calling on the U.S. to investigate American companies that are aiding the Chinese regime in restricting internet freedom and to deny visas to those who have helped create the firewall. Even though he didn't get a chance to say these things in the brief weekend meeting, Zhang hopes Secretary Kerry is still listening. And according to Kerry's Twitter account, he still is. So what do you think of Kerry's response, and what do you think the involvement of the U.S. should be, if any, in upholding human rights in China? Leave your comments below or the China Uncensored Facebook page. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.